Hey everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Room, where we talk all things comics and movies. This is episode number 18. We're discussing the first Doctor Strange trailer. I'm one of your hosts, Tim.
I'm Troy.
Yeah, man, it's dropped. It's finally here. We gotta look.
Finally, yeah.
Yeah, we'll also be talking a little bit of MCU speculation. We got Phase 3 kicking off here in just a couple of weeks. Well, a week for some of you out there. 2 weeks for us here in North America. Yeah, we're talking a little bit about convention season. You know, we got a lot of cons going on. And we've got our big local one coming up here in just a week. So we're going to be seeing guys like Stan Lee, Michael Colchier, treating us to some panels and autograph sessions and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to give a little bit of insight as how we attack these conventions.
Some of that comic book culture going on.
Yeah, exactly. So I was on a little flight down to Houston this past week, and I took that opportunity to revisit The Force Awakens.
Nice.
First time since I saw it for the second or third time in theaters.
Yeah.
I watched it twice, actually, on the way there and on the way back.
Nice.
So it just, I tell you, man, I know we've talked almost ad nauseum about all this stuff, but I like just this third viewing, fourth viewing, just phenomenal.
Just gets better almost.
Yeah. And it was really nice. And I was doing a lot of kind of Easter egg hunting while I was watching it. And the guy that created Constable Zuvio tweeted out and showed exactly that it's less than a frame. Like it's like so it's when Finn and Rey are running through kind of the Jakku market.
The Stormtroopers, I think. Yep.
He paused it on the exact frame. You can see Zuvio's back.
Yeah.
So he is in the movie.
Man, I saw that you tweeted it at me there. Oh boy.
So
blink your eyes and it's gone.
Well, it's even less than that. Like I don't even know if you could actually see it if you didn't like do the frame by frame pause.
Exactly.
So that makes me feel a little more justified for buying all the characters and stuff like that. But they even talked about it a bit. J.J. Abrams, I think, made reference to it, as well as the creator, the guy, the Creature Shop at Lucasfilm or whatever.
Okay.
And they said it was never intended to be a character.
Oh.
And they never had lines or anything like that. But it was really about this kind of this background character concept that Star Wars has and that George Lucas always has, that every character gets an action figure.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
That's right. Going back to your collecting from the toys a while back, you were talking about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just like, no matter if they had a split second, and this is very, very much that. So I can't remember the creator's name, but just go search Constable Zuvio on Google, and you'll see that frame. And I couldn't pick it out, watching it on the airplane or anything like that. And I'm sitting there pausing, but it was, It's a lot of fun to go back and try to pick out some of those Easter eggs.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and then J.J. Abrams, I don't know if this is at CinemaCon this weekend or what, but he's been talking a little bit about kind of expanding on some of the stuff that we did see, some of the stuff that we expected to see in the Blu-ray content.
That's right.
One thing that we weren't really expecting that he did kind of drop, he made a little reference to Rey's parents.
Yeah, I believe it was Chris Rock. Chris Rock was interviewing him.
Okay.
Which is weird.
Yeah. He has some very choice words about Batman vs Superman too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I gotta check up on that.
But he kind of made reference to the fact that Rey's parents weren't in Episode 7, and then quickly backtracked.
Yeah, after he blew up the internet.
Yeah. The internet exploded. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's not Han Solo, it's not Luke Skywalker, it's someone different. Could it be Ben Kenobi? Could it be whoever?" Right? And then he slowly backtracked on it, saying, "Well, Rey doesn't realize that her parents are around or anything like that."
Exactly in Episode 7.
Yeah, in Episode 7.
Yeah.
So it's kind of still out there. I'm still on the Skywalker.
Yeah, same. That hasn't changed. Even when I first heard that, I'm still like, no, this can't be right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, he's just out there stirring the pot of it. I think he's having a little bit of regret about not directing Episode 8 and not being in this universe. I know it's a lot of work for these guys and that, but he has this love, passion for it. But at the same time, I'm still a little happy. He's a great director, a great guy to transition this to the new generation.
Definitely.
But it's nice to have a different flavor. So this is what the original trilogy was. Three different directors for all three movies,
That's right, because Lucas just did the first one, Episode 4.
Yeah, and then his old professor or something did, I can't remember the guy's name. It doesn't matter. Sorry for that guy.
Did Empire, though, I believe.
Did Empire, and then someone different did Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
And so you got three different movies by three different directors, three slightly different directions.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped with the flow and the changing
Absolutely.
up. Whereas the prequels, you kind of had this, yes, it was consistent filmmaking, consistent cinematography and that, but the story was relatively kind of a bit shaky in parts.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, definitely.
Also, while I was down there, I'm very much into this. Do not, as a collector, give in to scalpers.
Oh, man, yeah.
So I've been chasing the Disney Store exclusive Elite series.
Yes.
The die-cast 6-inch original trilogy action figures. Very, very difficult to get. They've done, I think, 2 or 3 releases now.
Yeah.
And they're really, really hard to get your hands on, particularly the original trilogy.
Right.
And I was able to get Darth Vader through this draw. I think I spoke on it about a while ago, is that my wife was, in the Disney store and they do this draw and they only send like 16 to the store.
Yeah.
And they really released the Boba Fett, all of them back in. She found a Boba Fett for me. So
Yeah.
she's been killing it. But we could not find the Stormtrooper. When I was down in Houston, I had the fortunate enough, little time off business, was able to run into a Disney store and found the Stormtrooper. So these things are going for a pretty penny online right now.
I bet, but they're beautiful looking. They look like little Hot Toys that are 7-inch scale. Like, these are great looking figures.
And they got the weight to them.
Yeah.
And I'm a mint in box, and I've talked about that a lot. But like, they look great in the box too. But they do come with nice little Star Wars bases, so they're actually decaled up. And they would be fantastic. And I'm very much leaning towards not only the original trilogy, but also the armored figures. Because the faces on these, like the 6-inch Black Series really top out on these when it comes to the faces.
Yeah, and just getting better too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But the faces on the Elite Series are not really well.
Yeah.
The pose hard to look at. The unmasked Kylo Ren's difficult to look at. So I've stepped away from those.
Kind of the Butterface figures.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like they spent all this time on their armor and their chest and all that.
Yeah.
And then they're just kind of like, oh, well, we'll just kind of do this.
Yeah.
But it's a great series, and I would highly recommend getting into it. It's difficult to get into, but they are slowly really re-releasing them into the stores. And then on May 4th, the whole kind of Star Wars week around there, the May the 4th be with you week and all that, Disney Store is doing lots of promo stuff.
That's
so
cool.
There's a really cool Boba Fett statue that they're putting out, online only. And then on May 4th, which I believe is a Wednesday this year, they're doing an in-store Boba Fett prototype, so all white armor
in the
Elite Series, the diecast. So look out for that. That's going to be another one of these ones you got to go to the store at like noon, get in line, get your raffle ticket, and hopefully you're one of the ones.
Are you going to go and do it?
My wife's going. Yeah, she's a champ. She's a champ. She's keeping me in the black when it comes to these collecting these guys.
That's cool.
And getting into that. Otherwise, you're going to eBay. And again, with these, just wait it out.
Yeah.
Because people go in, buy them.
Yeah.
And it's nice that Disney sort of limits them, but they'll go in and buy them, and then they'll end up on eBay for 3, 4, 5 times the price.
Oh my goodness.
Just play the cooler on these and let the market come down, let it equalize a bit. If you do chase these things, like I'm a firm believer now. I got burned once on a Black Series figure, early Black Series figure.
Which figure is this?
The Darth Maul.
Oh yeah, that's a good buy though, but still.
I got burned on it. It was really hard to get, and I paid $50 for it.
Oh wow.
And then I found it in retail like a week or two later. Man. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. I'm playing the cooler. And I've done the same thing with the Black Series, and you've done the same thing too,
Definitely,
right?
Yeah.
Wait out the Phasma, wait out the Finn. You know, well, the Finn is Stormtrooper. You can find the Finn.
You find it anywhere.
Anywhere. But anyways, that's collecting for the week.
No, great stuff. It's a great buy. You got some nice stuff going on here. Boba Fett looks just incredible. The gun looks wow.
And this one's a slight variant on the original that they released. This one's got a cape on it.
Oh, cool.
So it's a little different, a little more detailed. So I'm happy to have this one, actually. I didn't end up getting the original released one.
So what's the common ones you can find at the Disney Store right now?
So most of the Force Awakens ones.
Yeah.
With the exception of maybe Rey without a lightsaber.
Oh, okay.
So the original release Rey. So Rey came no lightsaber because it wasn't released yet or anything like that.
Exactly.
And she has a BB-8. But now you can find the Rays with a blue lightsaber.
Cool.
It's the same figure. It's just got the plastic blue lightsaber
in it.
And then the unmasked Kylo Ren's pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
And generally all the armored figures, your Phasma, Kylo Ren, both the Stormtrooper and the Flame Trooper are pretty easy to find. Finn's there. So generically, the Force Awakens ones are pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
Any of the ones, so there's a prequel ones, there's a Maul, Grievous, and Anakin, Clone Wars. So it's one from each movie.
Yeah.
The Grievous is the other one that's hard to find in the prequels. Maul is okay to find, and Anakin's pretty easy to find.
Okay.
And it's all within the frame of release. Usually these things go within a week or two. And the guy told us the story the Stormtrooper went in 15 minutes.
Jeez. So does the Black Series ever kind of piggyback off these guys with an Anakin being released? Do you think the Black Series will kind of take note and be like, okay, let's give them an Attack of the Clones Anakin or Grievous now, or they just stick to their own kind of script?
Well, they're pretty much like the release of the Force Awakens ones was pretty much the same as the kind of first wave of the Black Series.
Right.
So you're seeing a lot like the Finn, and they're very similar sculpts. They're just die cast. So I wouldn't be surprised if they see kind of that, an Anakin's going or a Grievous is going, because we haven't got a Grievous in the Black Series
yet,
scale
right?
yet.
Which is surprising.
Yeah, so it's something that they could see, okay, this is doing well, and we'll kind of snowball with this, and you end up with a Grievous or something like that. So it'd be interesting to see, because he's a big character.
Right.
So they might do him on like a proper, like a scaled character where you have a much bigger box. So kind of maybe something that's more of an exclusive or something like that.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, so this past weekend, CinemaCon. So we're into big convention season here, and particularly the ones in the States. So this one was in Vegas, I believe. And this one was just a convention of national theater owners, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So it's a bunch of the studios getting together and showing theater owners and all that kind of stuff. The movies that they have coming.
Nice.
They take this opportunity to launch some products.
Cool.
And get out there. So WB had a slight presence there.
Yeah.
And they dropped the officially announced the Batman solo film.
Nice.
With Ben Affleck at the helm.
Nice. And we were talking about this. We said the next move they got to do is announce that Batman.
Yeah, they got to get it out there. And so there's lots of... I don't know if it's been officially confirmed that Affleck is directing.
Yeah.
But it's been heavily implied, and heavily implied that he's writing it with Jeff Johns.
Exactly, yeah.
So, and we've spoken a bit about that.
And I think it's... oh, man, I might butcher this name, but it's Kevin Tierhara.
Oh, it's way better than I would have ever done.
I know. But he's kind of like, I think, the Kevin Feige for Warner Brothers over there. I think he's been on since Man of Steel.
Okay.
He's kind of been calling the shots since then. Yeah.
Okay, it's good.
So it's interesting to see what's going to come out of his vision.
Excellent. Well, that's good to see that they're starting to figure out, okay, we need someone that's not Zack Snyder to do
exactly.
this.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to fall? So there's an untitled release date for WB DC Cinematic Universe, October 5th, 2018.
2018, okay.
And then there's one November 1st, 2019.
So I definitely think Batman's going to fall in the 18th spot.
The 18th. Yeah. So that would put it in between Aquaman and Justice League Part 2, I believe.
Cool. Yeah, I would.
Or the other is after Justice League Part 2.
Right. You know what? Maybe it's Superman then.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Superman. Oh shoot, we're in spoiler territory, or
a little bit. So we're gonna say spoilers for kind of the DC Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. So spoilers. I'm waving my hands here. But so maybe if it is a Man of Steel 2, it's the return, the resurrection of Superman, and then we see him in. Justice League Part 2.
Part 2, yeah. That would make sense.
And then if you did the Batman, well, it's most likely could be a prequel.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think it's going to be a prequel?
I really do think so. I think they made a point to age Ben Affleck's character in the Batman v Superman movie. And I think it would be pretty cool because it seems like there's a lot of history going on with that character. If you were to bring it back and bring him to the prequel era where he has a Robin, and whatever goes on between him and Joker, or we could have a whole new character or villain.
Because they do allude to a lot of pretty dark history when it comes to Batman. Like, so the Wayne Manor's burnt down.
Exactly.
You got the death of Robin or a Robin of some sort.
Yeah, Batman kills. So did he break this code? Before or
exactly.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
So there's a lot to explore, and I think we'll get a little bit of taste of that in Suicide Squad.
Yes.
And so it'd be interesting how they launch from there. Because I agree, I think it should be a prequel. But it'll be, again, it's one of these things is if you're shoving prequels and movies that are kind of out of order in here, and, what do you, if Flash doesn't work, do you bump up Batman?
So, it's weird because Wonder Woman's already going to be a timepiece, so that's going to be set way back.
Yeah.
We don't know when Aquaman takes place. So yeah, you're right. It could be confusing to audiences, but I guess we'll also see how Disney pulls it off with Star Wars, a Star Wars story, how they're going to do their thing.
Yeah, those ones in there. So it's all about the marketing, right?
Yeah.
If they can get it out there, and everyone's going to see Batman. But the problem is when you're building these universes, if you start shoving movies in, and I got a question for you when we talk about Doctor Strange, and where you actually think that sits in the timeline, because there are some references to Doctor Strange.
Yeah, we'll see about that. With Doctor Strange, I think it is going to be. I guess we'll get there after we're talking about the DC stuff. So,
The Killing Joke. So this is one of the most celebrated graphic novels in DC's history, right?
Yes.
It's a solo. I think it was 1988, 1989. So it's quite a while ago. And it's like I've read it. It's one of the DC graphic novels I've actually spent time reading and rereading and stuff like that. And it's kind of revered as like the definitive Joker story.
Yes,
right?
it's like an origin story of some sort.
And
right?
it's kind of, it doesn't ever say his name, but it kind of gives you like this engineer that quits and wants to become a stand-up comedian, has like a really shitty day, and he gets
involved with the Red Hood gang, but he's it's really cool how they pull it off.
Yeah, it's really
because you go way back, you always thought Joker became the Red Hood on his own means, right? And then you kind of find out that wasn't all just black and white, right? So
this is an Alan Moore written story. Was this considered canon? Is this kind of, because I know it's kind of a one shot, but the continuity does pull through with Barbara Gordon.
It does.
Like that, right?
It does. Yeah.
Okay.
Because Barbara Gordon gets paralyzed and then becomes the Oracle and whatnot there.
Yeah. It explores some really dark themes in there too.
Yeah, because, going off of the Dark Knight Returns with Frank Miller,
Yeah.
this is kind of the tone now we have for Batman going forward. So
I'm going to say spoilers here quickly. One, we're talking about Killing Joke in case you haven't read it or you want to visit it through the animated feature. And when I started thinking about it today, I was like, this is a lot like Two-Face's story in The Dark Knight.
That's a good call.
In the sense that it's Joker trying to drive Jim Gordon mad. So he abducts Barbara Gordon, paralyzes her, strips her down, and then basically takes Jim Gordon to like this carnival or whatever, and then kind of runs him through this tunnel when he has all these pictures of his daughter naked, paralyzed, and all this kind of stuff. And it was all about proving that even the best of us, the best man, the most upstanding citizen, will eventually break after having like one bad day.
Yes,
and it's all about this. And I thought that's really paralleled in The Dark Knight with Harvey Dent, right? It's a Joker trying to break the best of them.
That's true. That's a good call. That's right.
And I was like, this is really cool. So I never really realized how that was kind of weaved in, or if I'm sure it was intentional.
Must have been influenced, eh?
Yeah, definitely. It was like, about breaking the best of us. And that's even said, right? He went after the best of us. He wanted to break you,
I think
right?
Batman says that, right?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. And it's like he tried to break the Batman, but Batman wouldn't break his... And then the whole story is about like Jim Gordon wanting Batman to take the Joker in the right way and not go after him and kill him. So it was like he showed that he wasn't going to go crazy.
He's bigger than that. Yeah.
And there's really cool, I won't spoil the ending, but there's a kind of a really weird ending.
Yeah.
And there's kind of some implied things that go on, and it's off screen and off
this
panel.
Is between Batman
and Joker.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's really cool. But they announced that it's going to be rated R.
Yeah.
An animated movie rated R.
Yeah, I think that's the first one we've had in the DC.
It is. It's the only one other than Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
Because this will, I think Batman v Superman, they'll probably drop around the same time. I think this is around summer 2016.
Right, okay.
It drops. There's no exact release date or anything like that. But it's going to be interesting to see where they go. And we watched a trailer just before we started, and the animation looked a bit choppy.
Yeah, so the actual art style is kind of cool. We're talking, it's kind of a throwback to the original Batman animated series, which is cool. But the actual frame rate and the flow of the characters was a little iffy, and I'm just coming off of watching Batman Bad Blood, the movie with basically Nightwing takes over the Batman mantle, and the fight scenes and the animation is great. The drawings aren't the best, but the way they flow is just incredible. So seeing this being the follow-up, I kind of expect a bit better. So
and it's a lot of images in there of the like straight out of the graphic novel. A lot of the Joker stuff.
A lot of callbacks. Yeah, it's great.
It looks good. It's something I'll definitely check out, and I'm interested because I think where they went at this and said, we're going to make this animated movie, the Killing Joke.
Yeah.
We're going to adapt it, and we're just going to make it. We're not going to make it, PG-13 or R. We're just going to see what it comes out as.
Yeah.
And I guess it landed on the R side, so which it should if it stays true to the source material. It is a very dark, twisted, and there's some really dark themes in there that they do play with, particularly around Barbara Gordon.
Exactly.
So it'll be interesting. Drop summer. I'm sure we'll get it and do a little bit of a review at some point here.
And this isn't like a theatrical release, though.
No, it's straight to DVD. Blu-ray.
So, are you familiar with the DC animated stuff?
Not really. No, I've not seen really any of it.
Okay, because I've been watching it since the New 52. They've kind of launched like a DC War animated movie, and ever since then, everything's kind of been in continuity. They've kind of had this little universe.
Oh, okay.
But then going back to this now, it looks a little off because Batman's back in like his pre-New 52 costume. I don't see any signs of like a Robin or a Nightwing, but we do see Batgirl in the trailer, but you do also see a Batgirl in the movie I just watched, Batman Bad Blood. So I wonder if they're connected or if it's just its own
interesting
thing.
So because that's one thing that DC does really well is their animated stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if I've ever really seen, but I know Sanjay raves about it.
Yeah, they're great stuff. I bet Sanjay must eat it up, actually. Yeah, definitely.
So look out for that.
Yeah.
CinemaCon also, I'm just going to rattle through some of the announcements that they made. One of the ones that we had talked about before, MIB 23 officially confirmed.
Here we go.
So this is the 22-21 Jump Street crossover with Men in Black.
Yeah.
And they announced that Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill are back. No word on Will Smith or Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Especially Will Smith doesn't seem to be returning back to any of his original properties.
Really interested.
Yeah.
So be interesting if they kill him off like they did in Independence Day.
Yeah.
So I know he's pissed off that they killed his character off in Independence Day.
He should have taken the offer in the first place, though, right? Yeah.
Just even a cameo. It'd be nice if they just did a small cameo, like get these guys on set for a day.
Yeah.
And just have Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum run into them and do something or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or even run into them in, like, say they they finished, they retired, and they got kind of mind wiped, and they just run into Jay and Tommy Lee Jones just working in some weird office together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting to see where they go with this.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think it's going to be like, it can't be serious or anything like that. Like it's got to be very much self-aware, just like the second movie. Like the first 21 Jump Street was a movie. They kind of played a bit on the comedy, but the second one was like this super self-aware movie. They knew what they were doing. They make reference to their budget and all that kind of stuff.
To the previous one too.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Backing off of it. I loved it. Yeah.
So it's good, and it'd be interesting to see where Ice Cube lands.
Yeah. Oh shoot, that's really cool. Like if he's in charge of the whole MLB,
that'd be great.
Agency, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then there's also James Cameron was there, and this man is mad.
Yeah,
like, he's
genius but mad.
Yeah, he's got off his rocker. They announced four separate Avatar movies set to be released in December of 2018.
Wow,
which comes opposite of Episode 8.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so that was rumored to have been moved. Like
further, that's right. Yeah,
further into the next year, into 2019. But I guess they're sticking around, which I don't think is a great idea.
Not at all.
2020, 2022, and 2023.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I mean, Avatar had its day when it came out, 2008.
Yeah, I think.
And it was this huge success. Obviously,
2008.
I think it's 8, maybe 9.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it was, it was a big movie. But I think they waited pretty long to
zero cultural relevance.
Yeah,
do you ever make any sort of reference to Avatar?
No.
Do you there's nothing there. Like, no one even dresses up as them or anything.
I don't remember the end of the movie now.
No. I do remember there's some sort of odd sex scene.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
But that's a lot of movies, and I don't know why it's going to be 10 years out. And
well, my biggest thing is do they have some kind of safety net of some sort? So if you're planning these 4 movies, and I'm guessing they're all going to connect, if you do part 2 and part 2 just bombs, what do? Just drop the whole franchise, or do you have a safe switch to be okay, this is how it's meant to end before we get to 3, 4, 5 in case part 2 is not good?
Cameron did refer to the idea that these are meant to be standalones to a degree. They're connected and they're telling this overall story arc.
All on Pandora, the planet?
Yeah, I guess there's talk of going to the ocean, and I don't know if it's going to be the same characters. Wow. Or that's a lot of movies, and I'm assuming they're going to have to either they'll do a prequel or they'll do some sort of I don't know how you expand and continue to kind of push the narrative of the story so it's interesting.
Exactly.
And then I'm going to get this whole wave of 3D stuff again.
We're
still paying the price of that at the theaters.
Exactly.
I don't want to see my movies with glasses on anymore. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Speaking about different movie-going experiences, Sean Parker, so the original creator of Napster, was at CinemaCon with what's called, we call it the box, but I guess it's officially called the screening room.
Yeah.
And this is the device that you buy for $150, and then you pay $50, and you can watch Civil War on your own couch with your pants off and everything.
Yeah.
If you wanted to.
Or in your underoos.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. But it wasn't really well received.
Yeah.
You're at a convention for theater owners or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And a lot of people spoke out, specifically WB,
Yeah.
Todd Phillips, the guy who directed The Hangover and all those type of movies. And James Cameron even
Which is awesome. Yeah, he's been speaking about it for quite some time now.
And it was a lot of this kind of what we had talked about before, this maintaining this film-going experience. Yes. And this is how movies were meant to be seen. Yeah. And it's not meant to have all these distractions around you and all this kind of stuff. So it was nice to see him not getting support for this. Because as we stated, I would probably do it if I wanted to watch watch a movie or something that I heard The Boss is good and I'm not going to go to the theater and see that.
Yeah.
I'll eventually probably rent it on iTunes or whatever. But maybe it would be nice you get a couple of friends together. But for the big films, and I guess it's kind of wrong of me, a bit hypocritical of me to say, well, maybe I do these films and not everything. But if I had to choose one or the other, I would say cinema every time.
For sure, sure.
And I just rent the movies eventually. Yeah. But I don't want to see Civil War on my everyone's got kind of a 40, 50, 60 inch
average,
TV. And I don't have surround sound or anything like that, and I just don't think you get the experience.
Not at all.
And we when we talked before, so we won't go too deep into it, but I'm on my phone when I'm watching TV.
Yeah.
Even if it's something I really enjoy watching, I'm still out checking my phone.
Distracted.
I'll get up and get a bowl of cereal.
Exactly.
I gotta go check on the dog. All this kind of stuff, right?
Exactly.
There's always distractions when in a movie theater. It's phone off in your
yes,
pocket,
and you're just in the
everyone's
zone.
Quiet, and boom, you focus for 2.5 hours.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
because actually, speaking of that, which is crazy, IGN brought up AMC theaters were actually thinking about doing like a cell phone section for movie theaters. So they're actually gonna, have like certain spots where you can be with your phone, or they just have a designated theater for people with their cell phone. And the very next day, they just shut it down. I guess the internet just backlashed like crazy, and they just brought it right down, and they just backed out of this move, which I'm grateful for, because I think that's a horrible idea.
The worst.
They basically want to engage like the younger audience into the theaters, and they want them to come into theaters more.
I guess, but that's not the point.
No.
Go to the movies. If you want to be on your phone, sit in the parking lot.
Exactly.
Oh, man. The nerd room speaks out against distractions in movie theater.
Yeah.
Sit your ass down.
Yeah.
Before the trailers start,
Yeah.
watch the damn movie.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. And don't come too late to the theater either, too.
I hate that. It drives me nuts. Like, what was the last Batman vs. Superman? Someone walked in front of us. And what did you say to them? I can't remember. Like,
just in time? Or way to be on time or something?
Just the worst. I hate
horrible.
that. So.
Put your cell phones away and show up on time.
Yeah, listeners, even if you got reserved seating, doesn't mean you can show up 15 minutes into the movie. Like, get out of here. Last little bit of news coming out of CinemaCon there was, as we expected, Deadpool 2 gets officially announced.
Definitely.
With the entire creative team, the director, Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, all of them coming back.
Nice.
No real announcement on exactly when it's going to come out. So there's those two kind of mystery dates that Fox said. So it's probably going to land in one of those.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be Gambit.
No. So this thing's shoving up on 800 million globally. Wow,
good.
Which is it's I think right now it's about 740 or 760. So it's creeping in really close to Guardians of the Galaxy territory.
That's incredible.
It's ahead of Winter Soldier.
And the budget that was behind this
56 million.
Oh my
so that's one thing that the director, I think, was talking about. They don't want a $200 million budget for this, right? They don't need to escalate this. It doesn't need to be huge. They don't need to throw everything. Like I hope at least we're not going to get all of a sudden, well, Wolverine shows up and then Cyclops shows up and Professor X shows up.
Exactly.
Unless it's doing this in kind of a real satirical way.
Yeah.
And a very, very minor thing.
Yes.
That would be pretty funny. Mm-hmm. But I think what they're going to do with this is they're going to continue to push this. Very similar tone. Yeah. But again, with Cable, because that's the only kind of real information we got, right? That Cable is going to be in it.
Yeah.
And if they keep pushing a similar tone, sticking with the rated R, of course, and not trying to go too big, too quick, I think it'll do really well again.
That's right. Well, I think they also had talks of X-Force movie too. They're trying to say, but I think they're trying to say they want that to have an rated R tone as well, which I don't think that's necessary.
Deadpool centric,
for sure.
But if you have Deadpool in there, can you scale him back enough at a PG-13?
Yeah, that's true.
So it'll be interesting to see how they progress it. I could really see Fox starting to really lean on this rated R stuff a bit.
Kind of just embrace it.
Yeah, it's really worked, and because they're the only ones that really, because even in the X-Men movies, they do drop the one F-bomb they're allowed, right, with a PG-13 rating. Mm-hmm. So they've always kind of walked that line, and now that they've leaped way over it, it'll be interesting to see if they push more of their movies this way. Yeah. Or if this is just kind of some trend that we're going to see a lot of comic book movies go down.
That's right.
And eventually we're going to end up in bust territory once you get a poor rated R movie. Mm-hmm. So in a sense that people aren't going to see it, and it's also rated R, so you're not getting just kids going to see it.
That's true. Right? That's true. And it does make sense, because I was thinking, well, with X-Force, you can, if you don't make it R-rated, you can probably capitalize more off your toy market. Yeah. But then at the same time, Marvel still owns the rights to the toys, so they don't even have that in their pocket. No. So they might as well go rated R. Have fun with it. Yeah.
One other big thing that dropped, it was a day or two after we recorded last week, was they dropped the title card and officially announced the title of the Spider-Man movie.
Yes.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah.
And I was convinced, I'm still not fully convinced here, that this was anything more than just a production title.
Yeah.
Like what they were filming the movie under.
Right.
Because it seemed very on the nose to me.
Yeah. Right? In so many ways.
Yeah. What do you think of the title?
Every day it grows on me more and more.
Yeah.
The first time I heard it, I didn't care for it, because, again, I know there's a comic called Spider-Man Coming Home.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if this was a play on that. But then, like we said, it hits so many things on the nose, whether he's in high school and it's the homecoming dance, whatever, or he's coming home because he's back with Marvel. But each day, like I said, it grows on me more and more, and I think the title's pretty fitting. If they were to change it, I wouldn't be upset, but if they stick with it, I'm still on board.
What do you think of the title card? It was very kind of 1960s-esque looking, right?
Yeah.
It kind of almost looked a bit more animated.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
No.
I didn't like the way it looked at all.
No.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if that evolves through time, because that seems to be the opinion that I've gotten from a lot of people.
Yeah.
That are a little bit closer to Spider-Man, but this title card, it kind of doesn't really fit.
Yeah, especially it doesn't even fit the Marvel universe well, and it definitely doesn't look like a Sony. Like, the Sony thing's always been surrounded by webs and very Sam Raimi like. But this just kind of looks out of place between both studios.
Yeah. And Kevin Feige's been talking a lot about this movie.
Yeah.
And in just kind of reassuring, I think, the fans that this is a Sony-produced movie.
Yeah.
But a Marvel creatively controlled movie.
So good hands. Because he did Spider-Man 2, right?
Yeah.
Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
He worked on it.
And, I think they even sent Feige the script for Amazing Spider-Man. All those Sony leaks,
Yeah.
right? So I think he has a part of it because it's still a Marvel Studios production, kind of. So I think that there is some interaction there.
Yeah.
But he's basically saying, they're introducing the character, they're writing the script, they're doing the casting, all of that. And so they have the control. And we're seeing a lot of casting news already start to surface. So this is July 2017.
Yeah.
So it's creeping up, right? And, we're going to be a year away from it and not too long. And so this thing's got to start filming within the next, I'm going to say, 5 months.
Yeah, pretty soon.
And so they've got to have a script in place, and they have the director in place, and they're starting to cast people. So there's rumors that Michael Keaton, Batman's own.
Yeah, Oscar nominated.
Yeah. Let's speculate a bit on the villain. Who could this be? Are they going to go something different? We've seen Doc Ock, we've seen Norman Osborn, we've seen Harry Osborn, we've seen Electro, Lizard, Sandman, all these people. Do you think they're going to go with someone that's the same, kind of repeat, maybe like a Norman Osborn?
No, what we'll see, the talks is going way back to Sam Raimi's universe. Spider-Man 4, the villain was actually meant to be the Vulture.
Yeah.
And they're actually going to put Felicia Hardy in there, but she wasn't going to be the Black Cat, she was going to be the Vulturess, which is horrible. And then going into Amazing Spider-Man, the reboot, they still want to push for the Vulture, but they still didn't do it. So I've been hearing talks more and more that they are going to go with the Vulture, Adrian Toomes.
Okay.
And looking at Keaton's age, he could be playing the Vulture because Vulture is like a senior.
Yeah, he's an old man with shaved head.
Exactly, and he kind of strives for youngness or youth. He keeps trying to hold on to his youth, and there's a storyline where he becomes younger. But he could be the Vulture. He could be an Uncle Ben flashback, for all we know.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, it could be an Uncle Ben flashback, or he could maybe just be Captain Stacy. Captain Stacy was pretty old in the comics originally, so he could be plenty of people.
Yeah, what about Craven or
Craven? Yeah, I did hear that too, that he could be Craven.
Is he too old for Craven?
I think he's too old. I'd love to see Craven done right. Yeah, Craven has to have the size, and he has to have, I believe Craven's Russian, and he needs to have, not that Rhino accent from Amazing Spider-Man 2, but he should be pretty superior to Spider-Man. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Michael Keaton's great talent, so you bring him in there wherever he's playing. He's going to do
my first thought was Norman Osborn.
Yeah,
he does have the screen presence in that, but is he a when you look at him, do you say Norman Osborn?
Yeah, you know what? Not necessarily for Norman Osborn, but for the Goblin, I could see that. Yeah. I could see the crazy. Yeah. Because he can do crazy.
Yeah, he's shown that, right?
Yeah.
On both sides. So he does have the chops to do something.
For sure. And he can play a villain, right? Yeah. So, if he was Norman Osborn, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But I'm just hoping in this universe they take their time with Norman Osborn, kind of build him up like a Thanos almost. Yeah. Just make him this big, bad, big brother. He has his eyes on Peter the whole time kind of thing, but you never really see him.
So, because it would be curious with Norman Osborn if they could cross him back into the MCU. It's going to be an MCU film and centric and all that. Yeah. But I don't know how the periphery characters work or the villains work. If there's going to be some sort of reference to Norman Osborn, and then in the next movie that Tony Stark's in, he makes reference to Norman Osborn, and he shows up, and there's some sort of competitors, or at least that in the past they were some sort of competitors.
I hope so. I really want to see Oscorp against Stark Industries.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see, because they kind of had that development in Iron Man 2.
Yeah,
with,
Hammer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Justin Hammer. They had that kind of that rivalry going, and it'd be interesting to see if there was another player there, right?
Oh yeah, and then what's the other one they drop in Daredevil? The other.
Roxxon.
Roxxon. Yeah. I just love hearing those kind of things.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So lots of news coming out of CinemaCon. It's great to have these conventions, right? Mm-hmm. And up in Canada here, so we have the Calgary Comic and Entertainment Expo. It's coming up next week.
Excited.
So this is the big one for us.
Yeah.
But it's very different. And I think throughout the States and throughout the world, there's a lot of these. This isn't a small convention by any means. There's a lot of cool guests. This year's Stan Lee's coming up again. Michael Coltier from Luke Cage.
Yes.
Charles Soule, the writer, he's doing Poe Dameron right now. He did Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of fantasy. He did Civil War, the within Secret Wars.
Right.
He's done a lot of cool stuff. This thing grew. I've been going to this thing for the better part of a decade now.
Nice.
And it went from 10,000 people showing up. Now there's over 100,000 people that show up.
That's incredible.
And it's so surprising to see so many people that love this sort of culture, this nerd culture.
Yes.
It's just such a great atmosphere. And we're lucky enough this year to get media passes.
Yeah.
We get to experience it from a different angle this year.
Exactly.
Different than in the past. But it's all about this atmosphere, the panels, and going and getting autographs.
Yes.
And I've got a couple things autographed by Stan Lee, and this is going to be his last appearance in Calgary.
Wow.
Because he's finishing up he's like 93, 94.
Yeah.
So he's kind of announcing that this is going to be his last appearances in Canada. I think he's doing one in Toronto, maybe one in Vancouver. It's going to be one of our last opportunity to actually see him speak live.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like kind of a really cool thing to see.
Definitely. Stan the man.
Yeah. And there's always so much to do. There's lots of cosplay contests. And then there's the shopping.
Oh, yeah, which is a whole nother level.
Because with these conventions, you get this concentration of people selling stuff, and you have to be careful. Like, let's throw some kind of tips out here, kind of from like how we attack these things as far as conventions go. For me, like I go hunting basically for comic books and action figures.
Yeah.
And you have to be so careful, especially in the first couple of days, about you have to know what you're chasing.
Yeah.
And know your prices, because usually the first couple of days everything's jacked up. The comics, the action figures, like you'll see Black Series, Force Awakens stuff going for 40, 50, 60 bucks per 6-inch figure.
Yeah.
And then you get comics there that you look at them and they're priced at $7, $8, $10 a comic, and there should be about $2.
Horrible.
So when you're going in, I'm a little more erratic when I'm shopping for comics, because like I have like a certain back issues I'm always collecting, but then I'll pull something out and I'll be like, oh man, this looks like this is pristine. It looks like a really cool cover.
Yeah.
But I don't know really much about this run. Right. So I usually use there's a mycomicshop.com. I always have it on my phone. Type in the comic and just see kind of, and that gives you a relative scale of what it's worth, because it's kind of like an auction site.
Nice.
And it'll give you an idea of what things are worth.
Yeah.
And so you're not in there kind of second guessing. You're like, oh, this maybe looks like it's worth $20, but is it actually? And then you go on there and it says, no, you should pay about $3.
Oh wow, that's a great tool. mycomicshop.com. Yeah, is it an app or just a website?
No, it's just a website.
That's a great thing to have, though.
Yeah, and it just kind of gives you a relative scale of what things are worth, and I think that really helps, because I find at these conventions everything's always jacked up.
Yeah,
it's less about going in and getting everything that you want, and more about getting in and getting that one or two special items that sometimes you can find.
Yes.
And you pull something out and you're like, these guys usually have like, for a certain amount of times, it'll be like half off cover price or half off listed price. That's the kind of stuff you want to get at.
Definitely. And
you want to stay away from the big stuff, because you get like wrapped up in the atmosphere and everything, right? And you're running around and you're like, oh my God, I've never seen an Anakin Black Series.
Yeah, that's me.
But it's $70. What do I do? And you're kind of back and forth. And like I said, play the cooler. Eventually, maybe you'll have to go to eBay, paying exorbitant amount of money for this stuff, especially the more recent stuff. It's a bit difficult.
Yeah.
Funko Pops are
what's it like over there with the Funko Pops?
Oh, it is something else. Like every single vendor has Funko Pops.
Wow.
And my caution on those are every store has Funko Pops.
Yeah, that's true. Chapters to your comic book shop.
Exactly. And my thing would be, the price of these things. They're on average between $12 and $16.
Okay.
Don't pay more than that.
Yeah.
Like last year I completed the Age of Ultron series for $10 a Funko Pop. And so that's a pretty good deal. So it's going in and hunting and finding those things, right? Because these vendors, they're there to sell, but they're also there to make money.
Exactly.
They're not your best friend.
No.
Anything like that. And yes, it's great to have all this stuff concentrated in one area, but just be careful. That's all. That's kind of my overall tip for when you're doing your shopping. The other thing I have to say is kind of plan your day.
Yeah.
Because they release the programming, a week or two before. If you want to see Stan Lee panel, if you want to see this or whatever, make sure that you plan that out, because it's a relatively big area. And this goes for every convention. All these these tips or whatever you want to call them, a little bit of advice or going into these things, because there's panels every day, there's signings and all that kind of stuff. The autograph thing is a big thing. If you want a particular autograph, that would go there first.
For sure.
It's not going to be easy. Sometimes you get in these lines and they're hours long, and if you haven't paid a VIP pass or whatever, you might miss out on these guys. Yeah. For someone like Stan Lee, this is your last opportunity, unless you're going to another convention in Toronto or something, particularly in Canada, to get his autograph if you really want it. And there's guys like Peter Mayhew's going to be there. The guy who plays Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Right? So, and
cool.
The unfortunate thing about these conventions, though, sometimes is that you do see people dropping out quite late. So they lost all the Walking Dead people.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because I guess there's scheduling conflicts and stuff like that. The Expo does a really good job at making sure that there's enough presence of media guests.
For sure.
that it's still worth your price.
Oh
of
yeah,
admission.
absolutely.
And I would say even just to be in the atmosphere and get on the floor for a bit,
it's worth it.
Yeah, and to go to a panel or two, like they had the Women of Marvel there last year. Like my daughter was like only a couple months old. We went and seen Peggy Carter, or Haley Atwell speak.
That's so cool.
Yeah, guys, like
Rosie Dawson was there, I think too, wasn't she? Was that last year? Yeah. And so, Stephen Amell from Arrow. It's a great turnout. It's so much fun.
And that goes for every kind of local convention, whether it's because there's some around here. There's the Red and White around here too. Very small comic convention, and this is like your massive scale, but you can get a ticket for like $30 or something like that. I can't remember. I think they're like 90% sold out in Calgary right now, and you can't buy them at the door either. You all have to pre-buy, so don't just show up in like a giant cosplay and be like, oh, I want a ticket.
So go out there and get your tickets now.
So and make sure, and we're gonna be running around there. I'm thinking about maybe we'll make up some t-shirts, and if anyone that listens is there and spots one of the t-shirts, I'm gonna keep a couple extra in the backpack. We'll chuck you out a t-shirt or something like that.
Cool.
So yeah, we'll be there on and off throughout the weekend. I think we're gonna go on Thursday, kind of get a lay of the land, maybe do a little shopping. And then Friday, Saturday, hopefully we'll get some interviews and
sounds great.
Kind of run around there visiting some panels. But yeah, get out there and support your local conventions.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Even if there are 100,000 people, it's still good, because the more you support these things, the more people that go and consistently go, the bigger guests they're going to bring in.
Exactly.
It's, I think, the second largest in Canada
relative
to Toronto. And so it'd be really nice to see this progress even further, because it's done on the Stampede grounds, which is kind of in Calgary. It's our venue ground.
Yeah, home to the Flames.
And so it's this big, huge venue. Like there's like kind of a stadium, and there's smaller panel rooms, and there's like a convention center that's attached to it and all that. And it's gone from one kind of small corner of this to the entire grounds. It's even put out, because I volunteered there a couple of years ago, and they had these huge tents where they do big panels. And,
it's great. If you're a fan of video games, comics, TV series, shows in general, it's all there for you. Superheroes, it's all there.
And there's even there's a Lego building club in Calgary, and they come there, and last year they had this massive Doctor Doom castle. And it had it was so cool.
It was awesome.
So the Calgary builders, they constructed this huge thing. It's got all the minifigures, and it's just this massive. It was like the thing was like 6 feet tall, 8 feet tall.
It's incredible.
The castle, and it's just seeing stuff like that, like Weta goes, and they're the guys who do Lord of the Rings.
And what was the other one? Harry Potter, that game. Was it Quidditch?
Quidditch,
Yeah, they're playing that out there. That's
Quidditch
awesome.
tournament, and they got guys that do LARPing. So it's such a broad spectrum. It's not just comics and movie stuff.
Exactly.
It's all kind of nerd culture. Wherever you kind of subscribe to, it's going to be there.
Yeah.
Get out there, support your cons. So, this past week, we got our first look at the most mystical, mysterious,
supreme
look at a Marvel cinematic movie, a little one called Doctor Strange. And what are your first thoughts on the Doctor Strange trailer? A little different than stuff we've seen before.
Definitely. You know what? I wasn't completely blown away by it, but you know what? There were some things in there I really appreciated. It kind of felt like Christopher Nolan's first Batman Begins a little bit. With Inception. I felt there's a little bit of those kind of things crossing over. It's going to be completely different than that, I'm sure. But I loved Stephen Strange's voice. When you hear him narrating for a bit, it's so different than what I've heard from, was it Benedict Cumberbatch? It's so different from what I've heard from him, because he's an English actor, I think, right? So, that's pretty cool. There's nothing in there that really blew me away. I'm still coming off of the Rogue One trailer, which I'm just in love with, right? But all in all, it did its job. I think it piqued a lot of people's interest that had no idea about the property.
I agree, and I had a lot of friends who were coming and ask me questions and stuff like that about this, and I'm there with you that when I first watched it, it's the first time for a Marvel movie that I was kind of like, well, it looks good. I'm intrigued. I'm more interested than I was before I watched the trailer. But I'm not like jaw on the floor. They really showed a lot of his origins, right? Like they spent the first half of the trailer kind of demonstrating that he's this neurosurgeon and there's some sort of accident. And it's a really cool shot with his hands and stuff like that. They spent a lot of time on that. As opposed to showing like the mystical end of it. Maybe that's just a consequence. They just wrapped filming.
That's true.
They don't have a lot of the CG done, and they just wanted to show you some more complete shots. But it's a good teaser, I would say.
That's what I would say. It's a good teaser.
It's not the best.
No.
But I think it does, again, give you enough information and kind of introduce you a bit to some of the characters.
I think it's kind of missing a little bit of that Marvel humor. I mean, it doesn't have to be super funny, but I would like to see, Stephen Strange is pretty arrogant, I believe, at first, right? So it would have been kind of cool to see him in the hospital, kind of cracking some jokes, but just being like a smartass at the same time, and then, boom, the car accident, and then you're like, whoa, and his life turns around. Something along those lines.
He seems to going to have a very similar kind of arc that Tony Stark does, right?
Exactly.
He's kind of arrogant, bit of a prick.
Yeah.
You know, he's the best neurosurgeon or whatever kind of surgeon
Yeah.
he's going to be in the world. His hands are everything to him. And he kind of goes through this kind of redemption story about him going through some sort of tragic event. It's interesting because like what he's doing compared to Tony Stark, like Tony Stark's like making weapons.
Yeah, arms dealer.
And he's kind of saving lives.
Yeah.
But he's probably just like some sort of arrogant dick.
Yeah.
And he needs to be, you know, knocked down a peg or two. But it really looks like it's going to have similar redemption.
Yes.
And what did you think of his look, his little goatee thing? Tony Stark looks like Tony Stark.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, that's a funny. Which issue? I read an issue there. I think it's Iron Man.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna bring this
up.
up.
Yeah, so funny. And I think was it Steven that makes the remark, or was it Tony that makes
Tony?
the remark?
You know, high five each other on the facial
the
hair.
goatees. Yeah, I love that. Love that.
Yeah, it was a nice light moment, and I think it was issue 5.
Yeah, Invisible Iron Man issue 5.
Yeah, where they get some interaction with Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And Tony Stark's sitting there. There's like 3 or 4 like panels in a row. He's just like.
High five. I loved it.
He's like leaving, and Doctor Strange leaving him hanging. And he's like, I'm not putting my hand down. I'm not putting my hand down. And he's like, I can't remember if they call them like goatee brothers or something like that.
I love that though.
So the character came out in 1963. He's a product of Steve Ditko.
Yeah.
He's in Strange Tales. And so it's all around that same time that Iron Man's starting to come up. And so it's really cool. And I'm really, that issue, more so than even the trailer, made me look forward to someday some interaction between Stephen Strange and Tony Stark.
Because seeing them in the Illuminati, you never really seen that kind of chemistry between them. No, right? That interaction,
exactly.
So to see that in that issue, I love it. By the way, that's a great comic. Go out there and get Iron Man, Invisible Iron Man. It's awesome,
it's fantastic stuff. And like, there's nice interplay with Doctor Doom in there, Stephen Strange, Mary Jane's in there.
Yeah, Mary Jane's in there now. That's right.
So it's a really good comic.
It's awesome. Yeah.
But we're going to do kind of similar to what we always do. We're going to play it here on mute and kind of do a little frame by frame, kind of go through it, explain some of the stuff. And I got some questions. I'm quite interested to see, particularly where, Troy and myself think this is actually going to fall as far as the MCU timeline.
Cool.
Because this, unlike some of the other movies, there was a name drop in Winter Soldier, right? I got to give a shout out to Brad. He's a friend. And he listens to the show and stuff like that. And he pointed out to me, he says, where do you think this is going to fall? And I said, it's going to fall after Civil War sometime. He said, but what about the Stephen Strange mention in Winter Soldier?
Exactly.
So when Sitwell mentions them, I'm already assuming that he's at least on their radar to some degree. And to be on the radar, he would have had to go through his origin story.
Exactly.
I presume. Because otherwise, he's just
super big surgeon. Yeah.
And so he's not going to fall on Hydra's radar or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested to speculate a bit of where this is going to fall. And then what we're going to do after we go through the trailer is just a little more MCU speculation.
Nice.
Like, we're running into phase 3 here with Civil War in a couple weeks. Because we're getting a lot here. We're getting Doctor Strange, a lot of information about Spider-Man, Thor Ragnarok,
Star-Lord.
Guardians of the Galaxy, even Black Panther debuting in Civil War.
That's
and
right.
probably what's going to come out of that. And so we're really being thrust into phase 3. So we've got 10 movies until we get to the end of the saga.
Yeah.
And so we're at the end here. We're going to maybe see where we see Dr. Stephen Strange showing up again. And, what we think the cinematic universe is going to look like over the next couple of years.
Definitely.
So I'm going to fire up the trailer here. Yeah, so our first image here is this vehicle in the water and a very injured Doctor Strange.
Yes.
It's really, I guess, kind of demonstrating to people, here is some of his origins, right? There's some sort of accident that sparks all of this.
And see, this is kind of the Batman Begins stuff I was talking about here.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent of a man on a journey.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's shot in Budapest.
Cool.
Maybe Nepal. So I guess, it's revisiting kind of, it'd be interesting to see if this ties into Iron Fist a bit. So we're on this mystic end, right?
That's right.
And it's a lot about this ancient history, the culturally kind of I'm going to say kung fu, but not really kung fu, but this whole monks and monasteries and stuff like that, right? And you get to see a very haggard looking.
Oh, yeah. And then we see the actress there.
Rachel McAdams. Yeah. So there's rumors, and this is a bit confusing, and I didn't really go back and really look into this, but so people on the internet were calling her Night Nurse.
Really?
Yeah, so it's a different character name than Rosario Dawson in the Netflix series, but I can't remember the name of the character, or if she's actually been officially named. Maybe not. I don't think she's actually been officially named who she is.
In the Netflix series or in this one?
In the Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange,
in the trailer, who her character actually is. So there's some speculation that she is some sort of surgeon, maybe a friend of Doctor Strange's.
Right.
And because she's kind of carting him along there after what appears to be his car wreck.
Yeah.
How do you think he's getting into the car wreck? Do you think it's something like, is he drinking and driving, or is he just being arrogant and flying around corners, or how do you think that evolves? Because I think that will play a lot into his story, like how he gets to this point. Like it seems to me he's going to be built. Oh, I'm the best surgeon, and then he gets to a peak and he's so arrogant and so cocky. He's erasing someone and he flips.
I think they'll stay away from the drinking and driving.
I don't think it's Marvel movies.
But I don't know. Yeah, it could be some kind of arrogance of he's erasing somebody, or maybe he's had a bad day at the hospital. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe maybe he has a vision. He sees some kind of magic thing and he steers out of the way. Like, what the hell is this? And boom, takes the car off.
It's interesting you say that, because I was thinking not the other day after seeing this. What if it's like a vision of like Baron Mordo?
Yeah, exactly.
Walking across the street.
Exactly.
And he kind of does the veer off.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he's into the water. And this is like kind of this whole concept that maybe, not everything's an accident.
Exactly.
And they've identified this guy and they want him, but the only way to do that is to get him to go onto this personal journey.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
To steer him away from this arrogant lifestyle.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Kind of flashing back and forth between what appears to be his sort of arrogant time and then his post-accident time.
Exactly.
I really like the scene with the water, because the way he's moving his hands really makes me think about kind of, because he does a lot of like with the hand motions to do the magic.
Yeah, it does the Spiderman
sort of
kind
thing.
of hand actions.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of a lot of this waving of the hands.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah.
It seems a lot like
that.
Really
That's
like
right.
That.
It's like choreographed almost how he's doing it.
Yeah. And this scene here too, with his hands kind of up in the restraints.
Yes.
And kind of all pinned, so it looks like they've had to basically like recreate his hands.
Exactly.
And as a surgeon too, right? Mm-hmm. That's everything to
Oh,
you.
yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so I think this is a lot where he loses his way. Mm-hmm. And in the comics, he usually wears gloves, right? Because his hands are all scarred up.
Yes, the yellow gloves. Yeah.
There's some really kind of classic images of his gloves coming off and him holding his hands up, and they're just all scarred.
Just haggard,
Yeah, and just because from this accident. Mm-hmm. And we got Baron Mordo.
Yeah.
See, this is that scene when he's walking down in New York or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the scene that made me think that something else with the car accident. Because
Exactly.
he's kind of almost walking around like no one else can see him.
Yeah.
And maybe Doctor Strange is looking down at him and can see him.
Exactly.
But just the way he's kind of walking through the street and no one's really paying attention to this guy with a katana on his back or
right.
whatever.
Totally not in like their like attire at all.
Yeah.
Right.
So it might be something like he's seeing images of Baron Mordo, and this drives him to go to Nepal or wherever he ends up.
Kind of chasing him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because Baron Mordo's a student of the Ancient One. Which
kind of rivals at first. Yeah.
So who we see here in the trailer. So this is our first look at the Ancient One.
Yes.
Who isn't an Asian man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
But I think it's an interesting take. So,
yeah, I like that as a female.
Yeah, and she's kind of a different, like she kind of fits that role, right?
Definitely.
And she does have that prowess to her, like, she's a bit kind of mysterious and with the shaved head and everything like that. I think it's a good choice.
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of these, I don't know a lot of the symbols that are in the kind of Doctor Strange universe.
Right.
But there is focus. So we're looking right here at the above shot. It looks like probably Baron Mordo and maybe Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange. And there's a lot of symbology, I think, involved in this. And you see similar symbols up in the window at the very end of the trailer as well. This is a great scene.
Yeah, when she knocks him out, knocks the spirit out of his actual
into the astral
body.
plane.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's really cool. Big thing in Doctor Strange, coming out into the astral plane and seeing your body and stuff like that. And the CG looks great.
Yeah.
Usually he pulls himself out and she's pushing him in, right?
Exactly.
So seems like the first shots of it all happening.
That's really cool.
And again,
and the Inception look going on here.
Yeah.
I love this.
And this is very much out of kind of the Steve Ditko era.
Oh, yeah.
Jack Kirby stuff, right?
Yep.
And people are going to say Inception stole this, or they stole this from Inception.
Yes, exactly.
But this is very much out of the mind of the original comics.
Exactly.
Like all this kind of trippy and
psychedelic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is a little bit why I've always stayed a bit away from Doctor Strange. Is that it's a bit reminiscent too, because even some of the Jim Starlin stuff, the Thanos stuff, is a bit kind of like this dude's a bit out there. It's like these guys popped a bit of acid and went at it. But it's really cool. This translation onto film looks like it's going to be really, really cool. And they're really going to push kind of, I think, a lot of the CG in this. Mm-hmm. And I guess this is Mads Mikkelsen's character.
Yes, that's right, because you see another shot after with his eyes.
Yeah.
You can see the eyes.
And so I'm interested to see if this is, like, they're part of, like, this larger group of sorcerers or whatever.
Right.
And he kind of breaks off.
Yes.
And they're kind of chasing him. And I don't know if do you think he's going to be the main villain, or do you think he's going to be someone working for the main villain, something like that?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I don't know. Like, he could, because what's the main bad guy with the flaming head? Is that Mondo?
Dormammu or something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's going to show up in this film or not. That'd be cool. But I think this is kind of focusing more so on Ejiofor?
Yeah.
Ejiofor and Cumberbatch's relationship.
Yeah.
before it goes away.
Yeah. So I think, I agree. I think they're going to build that. They're going to be buddies through this. And then you're slowly going to see the seeds of this, like this animosity between the two building. And then eventually he becomes kind of, I hope they don't do it all in this movie.
I hope not, yeah.
And just because they have to be launching these things for trilogies or whatever.
Exactly.
Or at least thinking beyond a single story.
Yeah, I don't want them to go the Green Lantern route where it's like Mark Strong's character, Sinestro, gets like a post-credit scene and he's like, I'm going to be evil now. Definitely don't want that.
Yeah, that was reality bending, mind warping sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Climbing a mountain.
See, again, there with Baron Mordo, there's that kind of weird scene on the street where he's kind of looking at him. There's no dialogue, so I feel like he's seeing images of him.
Absolutely.
That's a really good pick there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and the scene with the city splitting.
Separating, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, could these be different dimensions that they're able to travel on to, or is it just the way that the city's kind of, like, if they're, I don't know. It's really interesting. That's so cool
looking.
Yeah.
One of my highlights actually throughout this whole trailer
is that shot. Yeah. And then we get Doctor Strange basically, he says, teach me the Ancient One. So he's fully on board. He seems like someone that come in quite skeptical of all this. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, magic?
Yeah.
The last shot coming in here with the kind of the slow shot of his cape, the long cape going on.
Yeah, it looks great.
I like that.
So it's going into I'm going to butcher this. There's a lot of weird stuff, but Sanctum Sanctorum?
Yeah.
So that's walking up into that. And
is that like his cave? Like his bat cave?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's like his sanctuary or whatever you want to call it. And you see the big flowing cape.
Yes, that's cool.
Yeah, not a real front view. So we've gotten views from the set photos and stuff, what this is going to look like. But it's the first time we're seeing the cape. I'm assuming it's some sort of CGI cape.
Definitely. That's the thing they do these days now. Yeah, the capes.
So, like I said, there's not a lot of action in the trailer.
Yeah.
It intrigues you more than brings you in.
Right.
It's kind of like, there's something different coming from Marvel.
Yeah.
Something very, obscure and different than what we've seen even from the Thor world, right?
Yes. Yeah. Because even that seems like it has a science to it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And they basically, Thor says that, right?
Yeah.
Like it's science that you just don't understand yet.
Exactly.
And so this is even beyond that.
Right.
And this has been like Kevin Feige pet project for a long time.
Right.
Where do you think this falls in the timeline of the MCU?
I'd have to imagine it would be during or before Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Because this movie is as cool as the shots we've seen, it seems like it's still going to be a small-scaled movie.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be anything that kind of blows up New York or anything like
Yeah.
that, but enough to be on the Avengers radar, or at least Steve Rogers.
So I'd be interested to see if he gets a reference or post-credit scene in Civil War.
Right.
Going back to that reference in Winter Soldier it really confused me when I thought about it. I was like, so he's on the radar. So does this origin story happen maybe between Avengers and Winter Soldier, something like that, or Iron Man 3 and Winter Soldier, and then he's just kind of not around? Do
you remember what they say exactly in that reference? Or
Sid was kneeling. He's talking this. I think after Falcon they threw him off the edge of the balcony or the roof or whatever, and he says, we keep tabs on everyone.
Yeah.
So and so, Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange.
Yes, that was it.
I don't know, because he makes reference to Bruce Banner, not the Hulk.
Yes.
He makes reference to Stephen Strange. Maybe there's something about Stephen Strange's past that's put him on Hydra's radar.
Right.
But it seemed like they were making reference to this is one of the people they want to kill with that project that they had, right?
Right.
And with the helicarriers.
Oh, okay. Or if he's just kind of, everybody in New York thinks he's gone off the radar, but Hydra still knows this guy's around. Like maybe he's on his way to see the Ancient One. Like maybe he's out there, but the world thinks he's dead, but Hydra knows that he's still alive. Yeah,
it's because so it's something that's like concurrent, right, through the Winter Soldier, and might maybe he's in training for 2 years,
exactly,
or whatever, and then he can show up back up, and then a lot of the stuff that happens is post Civil War.
Exactly.
So it might be one of these that kind of really kind of trends along the entirety of the MCU timeline from Winter Soldier through to after.
Right.
Or maybe it's even something like they've been keeping track of him during his training.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So you could kill, because you can kill a lot of time with this training thing. Like it could be like 3 years later, Doctor Strange reemerges from this broken man into this. Like I hope they don't do is like 3 weeks later, Doctor Strange is now Sorcerer Supreme.
Exactly.
So it could be something that they spend their time, like it would be like some sort of montage or something like that.
Yeah.
And they spend their time. So that's how you could fill that gap.
Yeah.
And saying, well, we've been keeping an eye on the Ancient One, Baron Mordo, and Stephen Strange.
That's right. Because when you bring up the fact they say Banner and not Hulk, that kind of sparked my interest a little bit more in that idea of Stephen Strange training throughout that whole time there. Yeah.
Do you think they're going to get into this idea of a lot of these? Because there's a lot of the spoken spell stuff. The Eye of Agamotto.
Yeah. The Harry Potter.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to get into that, or do you think it's going to be a lot of the hand stuff? Or
I think they will go with a lot of like the catchphrases or the babbling to go with the magic, because it's, you know, for kids it gives them something to kind of say too, right? It kind of markets it better. So I think they will stick to that rather than just hand gestures. I think we'll get a bit of both.
Yeah. I think you almost need that as part of the whole shtick of Doctor Strange, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're reading comics and like half the time you're like, I have no idea what this says.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make up my own words.
Exactly. It'd be cool if they played on that, you know, him reading the book and he can't pronounce something and he messes up a spell, and later on you see he masters this, right? So
even the Eye of Agamotto is one of these things that's always kind of present in the Doctor Strange kind of comic universe and stuff like that. And that was present in the Thor's or Odin's vault. In Thor 1. So it'd be interesting to see if that ends up being, or if this whole movie ends up being focused around another Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they're running out of time here to really show where the other Infinity Stones are. Because they could do something in Infinity War Part 1 where they're like, Thanos is just like, I know where the other 2 are that we haven't mentioned, or however many there are. I think there's 6, so there's 4 that are missing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Just looking at the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah,
there's 5 there. I think there's 1 on the thumb. But it'll be interesting to see if we end up with another Infinity Stone MacGuffin in this movie, and whether the Eye of Agamotto or something to that effect is actually an Infinity Stone.
Because how many do they have so far?
4, I think.
So that would make sense if one of his relics.
Yes, they got Tesseract, the Loki staff, which is now in Vision's head.
Yeah,
they've got the
Star-Lord purple one.
Yeah, the Power Gem or whatever it was. That's with the Nova Corps, and then they have the Ether. This seems like a logical movie to have another Infinity Stone.
Definitely. It'd be a big missed opportunity if they didn't.
Yeah, because they got to really progress that theme going through here. So, so you know, with all of that, so we have this Doctor Strange trailer. We've got Civil War dropping in a couple of weeks. We got a lot of information coming out about Spider-Man.
Yes.
Introduction of Black Panther in Civil War.
Yes.
I thought we could talk a little about where we see the MCU going in Phase 3. Because Civil War is our kickoff to Phase 3.
Yes.
And it's really going to be the jumping on point for, I guess, this kind of transition, this changing of the guard almost, right? This new generation of superheroes coming in. So over the next couple of years, we've got Civil War, Doctor Strange this year. Next year, we got Guardians, Spider-Man, and Thor.
Yes.
And then the following year, we have Black Panther, which is a big one for me. Infinity War Part 1, so that's May 4th, 2018. And then we got Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel.
Nice.
And then we've got Infinity War Part 2, Inhumans, and then 3 untitled movies after that.
Nice. I'm really, really looking forward to Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, and Black Panther. Those are my big 3 there.
Yeah, my big ones right now, well, won't count Civil War, but going forward is Guardians 2, Black Panther, and then the Infinity War series.
Nice.
And again, Captain Marvel I'm really looking forward to, but again, it's kind of hard to gauge on some of these things.
For sure.
But, you know, when we're looking at these phases, so Marvel came up with this fantastic idea of building a cinematic universe, right? And so it was introduced, Iron Man 2008, Iron Man Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
This is what, and it was funny because on Jimmy Kimmel, they had Team Iron Man and Team Cap on different nights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Robert Downey Jr. is this very suave guy. Everyone knows that he's Tony Stark, like, just that's who he
embodies
is.
It. Yeah, it is who he is.
And he made a reference. He said basically, I'm the reason that we have a cinematic universe. So and he does it kind of playfully in that. But, you know, we kicked it off Phase 1. You know, Phase 1 for me is about origins, assembling, and building the foundation for your cinematic universe.
Definitely.
Right? It's all about building.
Yeah.
And then you have Phase 2. You know, to me, Phase 2 is in one word. So Phase 1 you say is building. Phase 2 is expansion.
Yes.
Right? It's taking stuff beyond Earth with Thor and Guardians. We spent a lot of time on Asgard, and then we get the Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Something kind of out of left field at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And then with that, it's pushing the narrative and to a degree maintaining somewhat of the status quo.
Yes.
Right? We got some of our weakest films and we got some of our strongest films. With Phase 3, to me, this is about escalation.
Yes.
So we're getting different stories. We're getting heroes fighting heroes.
Yes.
We're getting more on Thanos, who has had 3 appearances, very short appearances in overall the cinematic timeline.
Yeah.
In Guardians, Avengers 1, and Age of Ultron.
Yes.
So they've seeded that villain for, like, we're going to have like 18 movies or something by the time we get to a full Thanos movie.
That's a hell of a box set.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really about this culmination, right? Phase 3. It's culminating the saga. It's also launching the next saga.
Exactly.
It's about seeding for the future while also wrapping up these franchises. So we're getting Cap wrapping up. We're getting Thor wrapping up, right? We're getting even the Avengers series. Technically, it's finishing off. It'll be 4 movies, but it's finishing off kind of what was expected to be a trilogy at some point, right?
Yeah.
And then we're getting the launching of all these new characters.
Exactly.
And we're starting to see them early. We got Ant-Man last year. We got Guardians the year before. And we're getting Black Panther again this series, getting standalone. We're getting Spiderman.
Yes.
There's been a lot of talk over in in CinemaCon and all this stuff and all the press releases and the junkets that they've been doing for Civil War. Feige's been talking a lot of, because people are starting to ask questions, right? People are seeing the light. People are seeing where this is going.
Yeah.
How this is going to culminate, and asking questions like, what happens next?
Exactly.
And, I can't believe that we're already speculating. And this is what we do.
Yeah.
But we're already speculating into 2020, post-Infinity War.
Right.
Because this is what we've been driving towards, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I cannot express how excited I am to see Thanos on screen.
Oh my goodness.
And just doing his thing.
Yes.
Not only is it going to be a culmination of things, it's just going to be on such a grand scale.
Yes, exactly.
And it's going to be very difficult to top. And at the same time, DC's playing their Justice League, and so we have a lot of stuff quickly culminating there.
Right.
But this is really like for me, and I'm not trying to be Marvel fanboy, but it's exactly what I'm going to be. It's culminating of a humongous passion project.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And yes, there have been stumbles, and yes, some of the movies aren't as great. Like your Iron Man 3 is a bit weaker, Thor: The Dark World's a bit weaker.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they still progress the overall narrative and push forward these characters. It's at times you have little stumbles on those movies which allowed them to tweak things, and then you get a Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly.
You're getting a Civil War. We got an Ant-Man, right? All this stuff, and it's just they've been able to go in and say, well, this didn't quite work, and we should do this better, and maybe Iron Man is now better as a character that supports other movies,
exactly,
because there's rumors that he could end up in a Spiderman movie.
Yes,
to some degree,
exactly,
right?
Yeah, him and Steve Rogers. So,
and how fantastic would that be?
Oh, it'd be brilliant.
So next week we're going to talk all about Civil War.
Yes,
we're going to talk about the comic book, the event comic book, and we're going to do some predictions. So that's going to be like a spoiler heavy podcast, and. And again, we're not coming from a direction, so we've stopped watching the trailers, the TV spots, all that kind of stuff. So I've stayed far, far away from any of that. There's all kinds. You go on any of the websites, and there's all kinds of rumors about who does this and who does that, and who was supposed to have a cameo at the end of the film, and all that kind of stuff. Stay far away from that. So we're gonna do a little speculation here. So we'll save kind of what we think is going to happen coming out of Civil War, particularly like where does Iron Man characters go after this? Where does Steve Rogers' character go after this and stuff like that. And so next week, I know I've teased it for a long time, and those of you who have read Civil War know exactly where we're going with what I think is going to happen to Steve Rogers. But we'll save that for next week. With Guardians of the Galaxy and with this expanding out into the cosmos and with Black Panther coming into the fold, do you think they're trying to set all these characters up for franchises? Are we going to lose? Like, what happens when we lose Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr., not talking specifically about their characters in the cinematic universe, but just the actors themselves.
The actors themselves,
Yeah, do you see a passing of the torch happening? Can we have just a roadie and no actual Tony Stark Iron Man?
Yeah.
Because I think Robert Downey Jr. is going to be around this forever.
I think so too.
This guy can make a cool $50 million off every film he's in.
Oh, yeah.
He needs to show up for, half the set amount of time, because half the time it's in armor and he doesn't have to be there.
Yeah.
And he seems to, if you follow him on Instagram, stuff like that, he's been throwing out lots of cool kind of Instagram photos and videos. He seems to enjoy doing the press junkets and being with the camaraderie around the set and being with the other actors and stuff like that. And, what are we going to see? What's going to happen to Vision and Scarlet Witch?
Yeah.
And how do we maintain this Avengers universe in a world where, the stories are big? Do we go more personal with a Black Panther movie? How do you think they're going to line up a lot of this stuff to actually fit into this universe, to fit in this continuity? Because there's always this question, right? Iron Man 3 is a perfect example of this.
Yeah.
I have a big, huge, long theory that I'll go through one day as to why Iron Man didn't call up the Avengers and stuff like that during the events of Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
But they have to get around this idea, this concept of, well, why didn't Black Panther just call up Iron Man? Because he's having issues in Wakanda with Claw or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So it's how do you think they're going to build these movies so that they don't run into issues like that?
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult choice or a path that they set up for themselves. But I think they're on the right start. They're doing a great thing already by giving us Spider-Man, who's a younger Avenger. Pretty sure he's going to become an Avenger.
Yeah.
They're giving us Black Panther, who's an African American, so it's going to be more diverse. They're giving us Captain Marvel, who's a female, so it's more just more diverse again in gender. So I really like what they're doing with that, and it's kind of a passing of the torch. You know, Spider-Man's great because he's 16, so he's gonna have longevity throughout this whole universe. So that's awesome. I think Chris Evans, whether they kill him off or not, he can play this character for a very long time. Yeah. He's a pretty fit person. He can do this role all day. Same with Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Vision should be no problem because you can CGI him most of the way. And like you said, Iron Man will be safe because half the time you just have him in the costume. Exactly. And if you had an old man Iron Man, that'd be cool too.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of this time, it seems like maybe some of these characters will start to take a back seat. Like Captain America will be around.
Yeah.
But and you just see this in the comics sometimes, right? He acts as an advisor. Maybe he goes on, maybe they kind of make a new Shield outside of the TV show or whatever.
Yeah.
Or he, like the New Avengers, and he's just kind of the commander. He doesn't go out and do the fighting unless, say, a Thanos threat comes along or something bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
And you put these characters to the background so their on set time is minimized.
Yeah.
Like instead of filming for 6 months, they're filming for 2 months.
Yeah.
Something like that. And that's how you could maintain these characters where you have, and we spoke about it last week, about a Bucky or a Falcon taking up the mantle. So it seems like you're saying it's a real passing of the torch to the new generation, with the old generation kind of still there.
Still there, present, yeah.
But in a very kind of minimized as far as how they affect the overall plot. I'm really interested to see where they take Phase 3, because this is where we're starting to see the big change. It's like I said, Phase 2 is status quo. We had all the same characters, expanded a bit. You know, we got Guardians of the Galaxy, which kind of set out there, but the Thor world extended a bit on the Thor world, and they're I wouldn't say personal stories, but it was a lot about expanding the individual.
Yes.
And their own universe, as opposed to expanding the whole universe itself.
Yeah.
Until we got to Guardians. Even Winter Soldier was, I guess it did have the whole knock-on effect to S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is huge. But still felt like a very contained Captain America story.
Yeah. Whereas I think coming out of Civil War, we're going to see a lot of things being affected by that.
Divided and everything, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to go down like, let's say, I know we're getting into some Civil War stuff here, but could they go into like a secret Avengers sort of thing where, so this is coming out of Civil War, I think, the comic.
Yeah.
Which probably should say this next week, but whatever. They go underground and there's like a secret Avengers, and so they're kind of not really sanctioned by anyone. And they're kind of, it was like one of Luke Cage's. He was big in that comic.
Yeah, Luke Cage, Wolverine, I think. Spiderman.
Cap was part of that.
Yeah, Cap. Yeah,
and so it was like these guys were kind of running around in the background doing stuff. And I think because in Civil War we're going to see kind of new Avengers team, like this whole concept of a new Avengers.
Yeah.
So again, it's just changing this different teams, stuff like that.
Which I would really like. That just the title alone. If you could have a Secret Avengers movie. Yeah. That just sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible. And it's one of those things, this concept, and this is like embodied in the Avengers comic, is this idea of a constantly rotating roster.
Yes.
It's not the same people. Like, we shouldn't expect that every single Avengers movie we see Black Widow, Hawkeye, Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, and Cap.
Exactly.
You know, we're already seeing that, like with Vision and this new Avengers team.
Yeah.
But again, we should be able to accept and understand that, you know, as these movies progress through the cinematic timeline, is we're going to see this rotating roster. And like, how cool would it be we see a Black Panther or a Captain Marvel taking over the team?
Yes, exactly.
And so that's happened. Like, and we've had Luke Cage took over the team for a while, the new Avengers team, and we've had different, and like, even right now we have different people in different Avengers books leading these different teams. And so how cool it would be to have maybe two different teams, one that's not really on the radar, one that's doing kind of, you could have even like Secret Mission or off the books Avengers team.
Yes.
Doing like Black Ops stuff.
And who else better to do that than Captain America?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, that'd be awesome. Or the cool thing I always like too is even when you see Spider-Man as he's grown throughout the years, he's teaching the young Avengers. Like, because Spider-Man's been a teacher in his past, in his civilian life. So I think that's a pretty cool idea too to expand on later, because they can really take their time with Tom Holland's character.
Yeah.
A lot of these characters, they can just grow them.
Yeah. And it's cool because, as you mentioned that with Spider-Man, this is the first time they're bringing in like a teenager, right?
Exactly.
Into the cinematic universe. And I think we mentioned that in a previous podcast. And that's something that we're seeing in the books. All New, All Different is they have Miles Morales.
Yes.
They have
Miss Marvel.
And
Nova.
So they have three really young, like, teenage Avengers that are with like your like Thor, Iron Man, Vision,
America, Falcon,
and so it's like, you get these mainstays, and then also you're getting these young Avengers,
exactly.
Which again is a whole nother concept that they could play on, is this young Avengers. So that is, I never really read the run, but I heard it's fantastic. In the sense that you have kind of like the school that they had, or not really school, but the base that they had at the end of Age of Ultron.
Yes,
you see them training people.
Right,
it's kind of that concept, this young Avengers. So you're taking people that are getting used to their powers and training them to be the next generation of Avengers.
Yeah.
So that could be something you see in Phase 4 is a Young Avengers movie.
Exactly.
Where, maybe Peter Parker takes over as the leader of the Young Avengers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because he has the experience or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're seeing people like the current Miss Marvel being brought into the cinematic universe and these like Hulkling and stuff like that.
Exactly. Because that could be pretty cool. Because it's kind of a thing that they're doing in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon. Agent Coulson's actually Spider-Man's high school principal.
Oh, really?
But he sends him on missions outside of school. And they're kind of building Spider-Man to be the ultimate Spider-Man. So he leads a young Luke Cage, Iron Fist.
Right on.
Yeah, White Tiger. It's kind of neat what they're doing. So I kind of like to see that concept brought into the cinematic universe.
Yeah, because that's really it. Is like we've got the whole slate for Phase 3.
Yes,
and I think we know kind of where the stories are going, and we're building, culminating, like I said, into this Infinity War, and it's what's going to happen after.
Right.
So like we're throwing out concepts of Young Avengers, but because we've culminated with Thanos, how do you progress your next phase?
Yeah,
and
the next big bad.
Exactly. Yeah. Do Marvel go and try to build up another 3 phases or 2 phases? Do they try to get the rights back to Doctor Doom?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Or do they do a Norman Osborn?
Yes, that's good.
Can that be big enough? Do you have to match the size and scope of a Thanos Infinity War for your next phase, right? Because Kevin Feige stated that it's going to be completely different. It's going to be like a massive comic event, like where essentially like everything's different coming out of it.
Nice.
You maintain some threads, and the universe is still there.
Yeah.
Well, we think it's going to be still there.
Yeah.
But everything's different coming out of that. And you can see the light on the other side. There's going to be a Black Panther sequel because he seems to be really well received in Civil War already.
Yes. Yeah.
There's going to be the Captain Marvel sequel. There's going to be another Ant-Man and Wasp or whatever, right?
Exactly.
A Guardians 3 is pretty safe to say that we're going to have that in a Phase 4.
Yeah.
So we're going to have familiar characters, but it's what sort of overarching arc are they going to have, or are they going to do a lot more of these more personalized standalone movies? I can't see them not doing something that ties together.
Yeah.
But how do you have so the MacGuffin here has always been the Infinity Stones, and building towards something is how do they reset that?
Right.
And because I guess we have the Inhumans coming in after too.
That's right. I heard they pushed them back a little bit, did they?
Yeah. So to slide in Ant-Man and the Wasp, they had to push everything back, which includes pushing back Black Panther as well, I think.
Right.
Or no, it was maybe the insertion of Spider-Man.
Right.
Or something like that. Right. And so it's pushed the whole slate back.
Yeah.
And so that pushed Inhumans out of. So I think it switched, or it was pushed out of where Captain Marvel is now. So it's outside of the Infinity War.
Right.
So it's interesting because I always thought, or in my head, a phase ends with an Avengers movie, but Phase 2 ended with Ant-Man. It's going to be curious if Phase 3 ends with Inhumans or if Phase 3 ends with Infinity War.
Right.
Because when Inhumans was before Infinity War Part 2, you could see that something like in Infinity War, you have a big Terrigen bomb go off, right?
Yeah.
And you get all these Inhumans, and then there's an Inhuman movie in between the Infinity War movies where you see kind of the rise of the Inhumans, or at least maybe Black Bolt and stuff like that. But with it outside of the Infinity War stuff, is it going to be now completely rewritten and be outside of this end of Phase 3, this Thanos War, right?
That's right, yeah.
Or do you bring in the Inhumans? Because the Inhumans are present in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And very minor characters and stuff like that. But there's this whole sect of Inhumans. Yeah, and they're working with S.H.I.E.L.D., like this whole Secret Warriors thing. So,
because the Secret Warriors are in S.H.I.E.L.D., right? Which,
and they're built of primarily Inhumans.
Do you think we could see like kind of like an AVX, but Inhumans instead?
Yeah, that could be another big thing. A big battle between like Black Bolt shows up, and says, we're tired of being mistreated, we're tired of hiding. Here we are, and then the Avengers have to go to battle with them, So that could be like coming out of Infinity War. Your new Avengers go to battle with the Inhumans. That's your first kind of movie. That's how you integrate the Inhumans quite rapidly into the universe, and also have familiar faces in there to bring people in. Because out of all of these movies announced, Inhumans seems like it's going to be the hardest one to market.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Because you don't have the familiarity of like a Wolverine or a Cyclops or Professor X or something like that.
Oh, there's Black Bolt, Medusa, Lockjaw.
But people don't know who those characters are. Like I know people didn't know who Ant-Man was and stuff like that. And it's all about the marketing and bringing in familiar faces as far as actors. So they brought in like Paul Rudd and stuff like that. And even Chris Pratt in the Guardians and stuff like that. So they have a track record with these out there concepts. But this is even further out there.
Definitely.
And I know I'm saying like that it's further out there than a tree, a talking raccoon, and 2 green people and a sitcom star. But
and Howard the Duck.
Yeah, exactly.
I really do like the aspect or hopefully the possibility of Doctor Doom, because if they get the rights back to Fantastic Four, there's so much they can do. You can have Doctor Doom, then you can have Silver Surfer, and then you can have Galactus, which is just and that's years and years and years and years of the franchise. So I hope they do that. I do also like the Norman Osborn aspect, but I think that would work really cool in the standalone Spider-Man if you build this guy up like the Thanos, but still, like you were mentioning, having that rivalry between Tony Stark and Osborn or Oscorp. So
because that's the nice juxtaposition of characters, and that's a good reason to bring Tony Stark into this.
Exactly.
Right? Is, you know, maybe Peter Parker's having some issues with them, and he brings in Tony Stark because he knows he has history with them.
Exactly.
And then you can actually start to weave that Spider-Man universe further back into the MCU timeline without having to do, like, we're going to revisit some sort of origin of Norman Osborn. You come in and say, well, Tony Stark comes in and says, you know, well, we've had dealings in the past. I know you're, you know, he's a bit of a snake, and you know, I've never really trusted this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And stuff like that. And so you imply a history there, and all of a sudden it's like, well, okay, this is, you know, very well integrated very quickly into the cinematic universe.
Yeah, because I mean, if you have Osborn, you know, keeping tabs of Stark and Spider-Man's relationship, being like, who's this kid? Why is he always hanging with Tony Stark? And he pieces it together that he's Spider-Man, and there's so much you can do there. Yeah.
And there's just, you know, and again, we're going to revisit this constantly throughout the years. That's presuming that we do this for years. But it's something, even as we go through this after Civil War, we're gonna have a completely different view at the cinematic universe, because I think coming out of that is going to be a lot of changes.
Definitely.
We'll speculate on some of those next week.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that it's kind of like this iterative process. Is as we get little bits of information, it's going to be more and more important to revisit stuff like this. And, you know, we haven't really even talked about Thor Ragnarok and the implications there. Like, it's going to be a Thor Hulk movie. Thor going to make it out of this thing, and how are they going to apply where he is during Civil War? We have a lot of information here, but still so many unknowns. And it's really great to see that again, they're continuing to push this humongous arc, this massive narrative. And as I look at this slate, you know, and this is something unusual they did when they announced the whole slate, right? They usually were only announcing a movie or two at a time. And they're doing that at Comic-Cons or whatever. But giving us this whole slate, it gives us a lot more idea of where this could go. But at the end of the day, it's all speculation. Right? And we probably might get lucky and guess a few things right. But at the same time, every time we watch these movies, it's kind of like, whoa, did not see that coming.
Exactly. I love it. And that's the cool thing is Marvel looks like they have no plans of stopping.
No.
They just want to keep going, and I love this universe they're building.
It's something too, and it's like the aspect of collecting through it, right? All the action figures and all that kind of stuff, and it's just, and then there's so much content. Like, I also, a big recommendation I throw out there is go out there and get some of the MCU preludes. And they do have little backstories and explain certain things, and you see where some of the characters from the Incredible Hulk end up. And so there's one for Civil War, so there's already one out, and I think there's another one dropping this week or next week. That's again a little prelude, so it explains a bit of, I think, Falcon's story, one of them, and the other one explains exactly where the Avengers or the new Avengers go, coming from Age of Ultron into the first scene in Civil War.
Nice, I like that.
And we talked a lot about this with Star Wars. It's there's little things here and there
for sure
that supplement the universe and build it, and it's something that, you know, as fans, you can just kind of chew up, and it's kind of like, oh, I know a little bit more. And a lot of these movies, there's little things that they have really no plot impact, but they're little nods
to the fans that pay attention to it.
Like, it's like even the thing with Claw in Age of Ultron.
Yes.
Right? To most people, he's this mercenary. He's just, you know, a necessary evil to have there to facilitate a fight. Right? Or facilitate getting to a certain point. But to a lot of us, to comic fans, he's Claw, right? And his arm getting chopped off.
Oh, it's huge.
And so that's going to factor into Black Panther movie eventually. And so, again, I think we're going to see a lot of seeding throughout this, but hopefully it's a little more organic than it has been in the past.
For sure.
Some of it seems like Age of Ultron's a little forced, Iron Man 2 is a little forced.
But we've got Andy Serkis in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's awesome. The one-shots, do they still do those? Because those are cool little things, too.
So, no, they don't do the one-shots anymore. So, I was reading an article on that a little while ago, and some people were asking, you know, why don't you do the one-shots anymore? Because there's some really great ones on the early DVDs.
Yeah, like the Mandarin.
Yeah, the Mandarin one, so it addresses the issue with the Mandarin, the fake Mandarin.
Sir Ben Kingsley's.
There's ones that were used as backdoor pilots to Agent Carter.
Oh, okay.
And there's the S.H.I.E.L.D. show was kind of backdoor piloted through those one-shots.
Wow.
You know, the early ones were some stuff that involved explaining some of the post-credit sequences with Tony Stark. So those are really great ways to connect this universe and have little things. And they're talking about doing more of those.
Okay.
And it was just kind of the sense that they didn't really have a story to tell, so they didn't want to just do something to do something, right?
Doing it.
And so even in those some of the later ones, they had some really cool cameos of characters from different movies. Like Justin Hammer was
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love seeing that. With the Shield, a little off topic, but have they greenlit another season for Shield coming up? And is there a spin-off as well?
So there is a spinoff called Marvel's Most Wanted. I'm really, really far behind on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now. Everything's just been consumed with comics and movies and stuff like that. But so I got to sit and catch up on that. But I know they've greenlit a pilot, which will be Mockingbird.
Nice.
And this guy Hunter, who's her kind of on-again, off-again boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
So it's a spin-off from the S.H.I.E.L.D. series.
Cool.
Already. So I don't know how far that will go. They're good characters, but they're good in an ensemble cast. So I don't know how far that will go. And I don't know if they've announced a fourth season yet. Usually it's a bit later in the season when they announce it. But I'd have to look back into that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But the stuff I saw early on was really good.
Nice.
Like the first half of the season is good. I just haven't watched... I think I've only watched 1 or 2 episodes since they started up from the winter break again.
Oh, okay. Cool. Because I know Daredevil is... I guess they announced he's kicking off the Defenders. That starts soon. Filming, I think.
So the showrunners for Daredevil are doing the Defenders.
Yeah, love that.
Which is fantastic, right? These guys have produced 2 awesome seasons, and I have all the confidence in the world that we're going to get something.
This could be incredible. Yeah.
And it's, again, that's another corner of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is a smaller, more, I wouldn't say obscure, but, it's not really referenced in the movies, but they kind of reference the shows, or the movies, but kind of real subtly.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping for a little more integration there. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more.
Or even if the movies can acknowledge even if it's just General Ross running down a list of heroes they cannot find.
Yeah.
Who's this guy Daredevil? Who's this Jessica Jones? Who's this Luke Cage? And just throw down like a book and it's got lists of heroes' names or superhumans or whatever you want to call them.
Exactly.
Metahumans,
yeah.
And just have their names on there just to be like, okay, Netflix series, we acknowledge that you're there.
Exactly.
And everything like that.
Yeah, or Matt Murdock, like business card.
Exactly. Or, I heard there's this guy in Hell's Kitchen that's doing a great job or whatever.
Yeah.
Or, there's lots of talk about in Hell's Kitchen about, metahumans or what. I can't remember. Is it metahumans they use or is that
I know
DC?
CW uses metahumans.
Yes, it's not metahumans.
What are they? The Miracle?
Enhanced.
Miracle? What's that?
Enhanced, maybe? Enhanced human? I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of great things to look forward to in Phase 3 here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So going forward here on the podcast, so next week, we're not sure if Sanjay's going to be back yet or not, but we're looking at maybe bringing in someone else to do a little comic review. I know we talked about that quite a bit, but
a certain someone.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he can make time for us.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that we are able to get at least 3 of us here and we're going to read through the comic again. It's, I think, 6 or 8 issues.
Yeah. And
then kind of go pour through that and go through a review and see what we think, how much they're going to adapt on this and where they're going to take from other parts of the comic book universe. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to give a little bit of predictions there. And all this is kind of because in a lot of parts of the world, like Brazil, the UK, the movie's coming out next week. Oh. And so they get a whole week before us.
So lucky.
So it's going to be we're going to have to stay off the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, like bye Twitter.
Yeah. So, and because I don't know the post-credit sequence spoiled for me or anything like that.
There'll be like a GIF of something.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to do that review and kind of our predictions so that it's out for the global release.
Yeah.
And then the following episode, we're going to do kind of our convention wrap-up. So hopefully we have some interviews. And then following on for that, we're going to do our big panel review. So we're looking at you, Izzy, Baron, having a big crew here to do a big panel review of Captain America's Civil War.
Absolutely.
Kicking off Phase 3 here. Mm-hmm. And again, when we do a prediction episode, we're not coming at it from an angle of we've seen all the trailers, the TV spots, we've seen little things. We're coming at it purely from the comic standpoint.
Yes.
And what we think that it's appropriate to adapt into film and what they can actually carry over and what they're going to have to pull from different stories. Because I'm assuming that this is probably based around Civil War, slightly adapted from it, but they've pulled different themes. Like they're going to be pulling Winter Soldier stuff, maybe some different Spider-Man origin stuff.
Exactly.
And stuff like that. So
it'll be great to see. So go out there this weekend and get your hands on Civil War.
Yeah, you could pick up the trade. I'm sure like Chapters and all these places.
Yeah.
You'll be able to pick up the trade for a reasonable amount of money.
Yeah, definitely.
Blow through that. It's a great story.
Yeah.
And you don't really, it's one of those ones you can kind of jump into. If you know the characters from even if you're not a comic reader or anything like that, and you know the characters from the movie universe, you can kind of jump into this right away. It's pretty self-explanatory, somewhat self-contained. Yeah, there's lots of tie-ins and stuff like that. But getting through the story, you understand it basically cover to end.
Yeah.
Without having to have a huge contextual background, because there's a lot of story leading into it, but at the same time it's somewhat self-contained. Although it does contain the whole comic universe, but again, it's a large story that feels like you can read it just in the trade.
Which is so good because it's hard to come by these days, stories like that. Great read, though. Check it out, guys.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, we've got through some speculation here. We'll see what will come out on the other end here in a couple of years.
Can't wait.
But it looks like a busy couple of weeks, and then we get into the hardcore movie season.
Oh,
kind of
boy.
May's Civil War is really the kickoff to things, and then like we said a couple of podcasts, we're gonna get into some other kind of blockbuster movies, Independence Day. Then we get X-Men at the end of the month.
Yes, that's right.
Do some comic stuff or at the end of May, I should say. I'm already a month ahead of myself. But it's gonna be lots of fun, and we hope you guys are enjoying listening. And again, you can get us at hashtag Into the Nerd Room.
Yes, yeah.
And our Twitters or follow the episode here. And again, I'll update a little more next week as like exactly what we're going to do as far as our presence at the Calgary Comic and Entertainment Expo. But I'm hoping to have some T-shirts done, maybe a couple hats, and if you guys can come around the floor and find us wearing the T-shirts, we'll be happy to give you a T-shirt or whatever.
For sure, yeah. Be nice to meet you guys out there.
Yeah. Anyways, for the Nerd Room, I'm Tim.
I'm Troy.
Thank you for entering the Nerd Room.
Sanjay, where are you?
Yeah.
Sanjay.
Hello, Sanjay. I don't know when he's coming back. He may never be back. We don't know.
We don't know, eh?
He's MIA. Sanjay. I texted like 3 times today. Where you at? All I want you to do is come and phone on this thing and do the Door Creek thing.
Yeah, we need that door, man.
Yeah. So come back to us someday. All right, we're out. Don't forget to subscribe and rate and review us on iTunes. You can find our hosts Tim, Sanjay, and Troy on Twitter at TheNerdRM1912 Podcasting and Troy, the boy, 87.